Reimagining Success, Episode 21. You're listening to Reimagining Success, the podcast where we help you reimagine your future, designing a life and career beyond the 9 to 5 that allows you the freedom, flexibility and fulfillment that you've been dreaming of. I'm your host, Anna Lundberg. Now, let's get started on those dreams. Hello there and welcome back to the podcast. Now, as we have been discussing the last few weeks, I truly believe that running your own business is the best way to get the freedom and flexibility that you want. And last week I shared some general principles on how you can set up your business so that you get to realize those benefits in practice. In the next few weeks, I actually want to get much more detailed and concrete and continue on this topic, but really look at specific ideas, specific tactics as to how you can make your business work for you. And this week, we're kicking off with the very exciting topic of creating systems in your business. Now, first of all, what do I mean by systems? Well, I'm using systems in the sense of the principles, the procedures by which you run your business. And that includes processes, routines, tools, software, and so on. So large companies like Procter & Gamble, P&G, where I used to work, where I spent the formative years of my career, are known for having these very big, tedious processes and systems. And as employees, we complain about them. We long to be free to just do things rather than have to follow those rigid steps and procedures. I have to admit, though, that when I first started consulting after leaving P&G, when I came into companies that lacked those processes and systems, I really missed them. And I found myself suggesting, recommending, introducing some of those so-called tedious processes into those new companies because I just felt that, the approval mechanisms, the clear roles and responsibilities, the step-by-step process for the strategy and so on were sorely needed. When you first start out on your own, it's a massive part of the appeal that you get to wake up every day and do exactly what you want. It's that freedom and flexibility again, exactly how you want to do things. No one telling you there's no step-by-step process to follow. Hooray, you can do it exactly as you want to and be creative. However, you will eventually find, as I did, that flying too freely is going to be completely inefficient. So you have to reinvent the wheel each time you do something. You waste time umming and ahhing over what to do and when, and thinking about decisions that really aren't that important. And in fact, you end up distracted from what really matters in your business. So why then should we be creating systems? Again, in large companies, systems have lots of benefits, presumably, because otherwise they wouldn't have them. They have learnt from experience and chosen to implement these systems for a reason. But systems build cohesion, make sure that, you're standardizing processes, improving productivity by having those workflows streamlined, simplifying communication between different teams, making sure, local teams are doing what the global teams are doing and so on. And of course, saving time and energy, saving money, and ultimately helping to grow the business. And while it may not seem necessary to have those systems in place in a small business, especially if that small business is just you as a solopreneur, at least for now, then the overarching benefit of freeing up your time and energy to work on what really matters still really applies. So just quickly, for example, documenting your workflows, this is what I do when I'm uploading this or scheduling that or contacting this kind of person, captures exactly how you need to do something next time. And that's especially important when it's something you don't do very often. For example, I found myself, doing my company accounts by myself previously. And at the beginning, I would work it all out and it was all fine. I took some notes. And then a year later, I'd be back to square one and I'd think, hang on a second, what am I doing? I don't remember how I did it last year. Plus things would have changed anyway. So reminding yourself for next time is pretty crucial. And it also allows you to delegate or outsource specific tasks to someone else in due course. So another example, setting up just a simple automated process means that things are going to be happening routinely without you having to get involved. So whether you're away or you're just working on something else, those things will be happening in the background, automatically following certain steps that you've outlined. People are getting the information, the same information that they probably need as someone else does, and so on. And also having your own routine, for example, that you follow each week is going to help to ensure that you get straight to work each day on the most important priorities. Those are just very quick examples, but I actually want to share some more examples of systems that you can implement in your business. And, they're especially suitable and also provide the most value when it comes to tasks that are particularly manual and repetitive. So I actually also do a lot of work in artificial intelligence, and I write articles on robotic process automation, RPA, and machine learning, and so on. And while artificial intelligence can do a lot of much more sophisticated things, the most basic use of it is really to take those incredibly repetitive, manual, labor-intensive processes and automate those, streamline them by using artificial intelligence, robotic, whether it's, a live chat bot, for example, or some kind of behind the scenes supply chain thing going on, back end systems. Those manual repetitive tasks are really the place to start. So if you haven't got any systems in place, probably going to those really tedious things, same thing every day, doing the same kind of steps, you just feel like this can't possibly be the best use of my time. That's probably a good place to start by introducing systems. And then you get more sophisticated as you evolve. So, you can start with the basics and you can add layers onto that. So I just want to share some of the systems that I have created in my own business and that you might want to think about implementing for yourself. And with a few examples, just, as an anecdote, really, the particular tools that I use. Now, this is going to be quite practical, so you probably do want to grab a pen and paper. If you are, as I am often while listening to podcasts, multitasking, driving, doing the dishes, hanging up laundry, whatever it might be on the treadmill, you might want to come back later on and listen to this again and just make a note of the ones that you think would be most helpful for you. And then also the specific names if you want to do some research and see if they're the best software solutions for you as well. But the first one is establishing a weekly routine. Now, I want to start with this one, even though you may not think of it as a system, but I can't emphasize enough how important this one is, especially when you're alone in your business. Because rather than waking up every day and making it up as you go along, I know it sounds appealing, and it was at the beginning at least, but it doesn't get you results, I can assure you. And rather than doing that, you actually want to get super clear on what your priorities are. And then use time blocking, something you may have heard of and that we can definitely talk about more in the future, and careful planning to make sure that your calendar actually reflects those priorities. And this is where I use something called the ideal week. Now, it's called the ideal week because you're never going to have this week in reality, but it's really looking at, okay, these are my priorities. These are my projects, I hesitate to use the word tasks because they sound a bit more sort of, a bit less important, but these are the big blocks of things I want to achieve in my personal life and my professional life for the coming week. And then looking at your calendar, seeing where you have the slots, blocking in, okay, Monday mornings, this is what I'm going to create. Tuesday lunchtimes, I'm going to do this. Evenings when the kids are in bed, I'm going to do that, and so on. Again, this is ideal. It's never going to be 100% what you achieve, but it gives you that framework, something you can strive for. And then if it doesn't work out exactly, you can tweak it, you can optimize. If something's going horribly wrong, then it means probably it wasn't a realistic plan to start with, or perhaps you're not committed to those priorities that you set up in the first place, and so on. But having that weekly routine, blocking those pieces of the puzzle. We were talking a lot about your personal brand and your content strategy in the last few weeks before we got into this bigger topic of setting up your business in the right way. And, there's a lot around understanding who your client is, getting to grips with the kind of content you want to be creating, choosing the right channels, and then you need to be creating content and distributing and publishing that content. So all these things, from strategy through to creation to distribution, need to be on your calendar. So wherever you're in your business, you know the most important tasks and projects, and those need to be blocked into your schedule. And I mentioned personal things because really your exercise, family time and so on, it should all be on one calendar. So blocking that into your routine is really important. So that's the first one, establishing a weekly routine. So that's a good system to start with. And the second one is documenting key workflows. Now, once you've come across a problem or a task and you found a solution, you want to capture that in a step-by-step process. Not only does this help you remember, as I said, what you did this time, next time you have to do the same thing. And you can also add to that as you learn and optimize, of course, but it also prepares you for when you're ready to delegate and outsource to someone else. And this is the topic we're going to cover in next week's episode. So come back for that next Thursday. And in terms of tools here, As I said, I'll get quite specific in terms of the software I'm using, but I actually use sort of a screen recorder called ScreenFlow for my Mac computer, where it literally takes 2 seconds. I turn it on. I then speak into my microphone while I'm doing something. Let's say last year, while I was uploading a blog post or creating a Facebook ad or whatever it might be. And then I'll talk over it while I'm doing that. And then I'll save that and I actually just keep them on the Google Drive. So whether or not you have a team now, you've documented it for yourself and you've documented it for a future team so that when you need to share that with someone, you can just say, okay, this is what you need to do. Have a look at the video. If that person then leaves your team, you still have the video for the next person, so you're really creating a resource for you, for your team, for the business that's going to last a long time. So documenting those key workflows, really important, again, whether you're solo or already have a team in place. The third one is creating resources. So if you find yourself always answering the same questions, either from prospective clients, or from existing clients, then instead of answering these individually again and again, the same answer, why not collect them together in a set of FAQs, frequently asked questions? Or maybe you'll write a blog post. Or you'll create some kind of evergreen resource, whether it's, a free resource that people can opt into, or for your clients, it might be an ebook or a video or a video series even. You can then direct future requests to that resource, and that helps you to offer these people value while also saving yourself valuable time. And, in terms of creating these resources, of course, it depends if it's a video, a blog post, and so on. If it's a simple little ebook or PDF document, you can use Canva, Canva, for example, or I brief my favorite designer on Fiverr as well, just to take my content and create, a simple but attractive resource that you can then give to, again, either prospective clients or your existing clients. The next one is scheduling appointments. Now, this is one of the first systems I invested in when I got started. So rather than those endless email exchanges, I can do these dates and times. Does that work for you? Oh, no, I can't do those. Can you do this? Oh, no, I couldn't do that, but I could do, and so on. And suddenly you've wasted time going back and forth over a period of weeks. These schedulers will actually allow you to automatically sync your actual calendar so that clients can suggest one or more slots that work for both of you already. And you can also set up reminders and notifications, which help to make sure that people turn up. So the one I use was called Schedule Once. It's now been rebranded as Once Hub. I know my coach uses Acuity, for example, so there's a few different ones out there. But have a think about the functionality that you want to need and then you can compare the different solutions. But some kind of scheduler, if you're doing either sort of sales calls with people or even, interviews, for example, I do interviews for the blog. That really helps people apply. They can already upload their pictures and their bio and everything I need for the blog post that I'm going to do. And they can then book a time. And that has saved so much time when you're doing something so regularly, so frequently, rather than, again, going back and forth. Something else you can schedule, of course, is social media posts. Now, I'm a big fan of organic posting, and I really don't love it when I see people's automated posts going out. But that being said, you can't always be available to post live. And, if you want this freedom and flexibility, you do need to extract yourself a little bit. Maybe you're on holiday sometimes, and certainly for at least the basic repetitive posts. It's great if you can have those posts going out even when you're not able to get to a computer. And of course, that helps you stay consistent and build trust with your audience as they come to expect that regularity of your content. So at the moment, I'm using a combination of Buffer. There's a free version there. You can also pay to get additional functionality and more channels. I also use a native Facebook scheduler, so you can actually use Facebook itself to post within the groups and on your page. And then recently, we've just started using Plannerly for Instagram, so we'll see how that goes. Something else you can schedule is emails, of course, and creating email sequences. It's another one of my first ever software solutions that I started using when I started my business. And it allows you to send those automated email sequences. For example, if someone opts into a free resource that you have available for download. And then in those sequences, you can take people through a journey, a sequence of information that you feel they need that's going to help them. So share more about your own story. You can give them other resources that might be useful. You can invite them to your Facebook group and so on. And again, I've been using GetResponse since the start, GetResponse, and it has a combination of so-called autoresponders and automation. I also send a weekly email every Friday, for example. But again, there's lots of different solutions there. But having some basic email software is going to be really important to have that regularity. And then finally, using accounting software. Now, running your own business means that you're checking your incomings and outgoings, you're sending invoices, chasing payments, filing accounts, and so on. And there are lots of software solutions now, many that are designed specifically for freelancers or small businesses that can help you with all those steps. Whether it's pulling in your transactions by an automated feed connected to your bank. So my bank feed comes straight over, obviously high security, and then I just need to check those off rather than manually entering them. And then also too, providing invoice templates that are easy to sort of plug and play. And also very importantly, automatic reminder emails when you're inevitably getting late payment from your clients. And I must admit that I used Excel for a long time, but I have finally become a convert to technology and I now use something called Free Agent. But again, it depends if you're a sole trader or a limited company and what your particular needs are. And of course, these are just a handful of examples and there are many more possibilities. So I mentioned establishing a weekly routine, documenting your key workflows, creating resources, scheduling appointments, scheduling social media posts, creating email sequences and using accounting software. Now, if you're further along in your business, I'd love to hear more about what tools and systems you use. So do get in touch, podcast@onestepoutSide.com. I'd love to hear your tips and recommendations, always keen to learn more. However, if you're right at the beginning and you don't have any of these systems, or maybe just one or two, you might want to rethink how you're running your business and then look at which systems you can start to implement as soon as possible. So I hope you found those useful in that case, and I hope it's given you plenty of food for thought. Again, you might want to go back, listen to them again, take some notes, think about, okay, what are the really tedious, repetitive things I'm doing, or where am I not really spending my time on things that are adding value and there's something I could make more standardized, more systematized, so that ultimately, I can hand that over to someone else, potentially either to someone else as in a human being, which again, we'll talk about next week when we talk about outsourcing, or if you're outsourcing to a robot, to a computer or software solution. So thanks so much for listening and I'll see you back in next week. Bye for now. Have you set yourself ambitious goals for your business and you now recognise that you'll need mentoring from someone who's been there, done that, and can guide you to focus on the right priorities? I can help you clarify your vision and get the foundations in place for long-term success. Get clear on your messaging and build a strong brand proposition, and improve your work-life balance as you achieve your business goals without sacrificing your health and relationships to do so. Apply for a free consultation at onestepoutSide.com/free consultation. I look forward to hearing about your goals.